Hey there, deep diver. Ready to warp your perception of reality?
Always up for a good mind bend.
Well, then buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the true nature of time.
Sounds intriguing.
You sent in some fascinating excerpts from the Law of One material, and we're going to explore how time, well, isn't exactly the straight line we think it is.
I'm all ears.
Get ready for concepts like simultaneous time, time cycles, and even how our higher selves interact with us from, get this, the future.
Less about predicting the future, I'd say, and more about understanding the interconnectedness of all moments.
Exactly. So what's fascinating here is this idea that past, present, future, it's all happening at
Like a
once.
giant cosmic tapestry.
Yeah, and we're just experiencing one thread at a time. Okay, so how do we even begin to unpack this?
Well, the Law of One talks about time space, where all events exist simultaneously. It's a bit of a mind bender compared to our everyday experience of linear space time.
Okay, so break that down for me. How can all events exist at once?
Think of it like all the villages and cities across the world, bustling with life all at the same time. That's
Uh,
how time space operates, but with moments instead of locations.
So it's not that time is flowing, but more like our consciousness is moving through a sea of
You
moment.
got it. Our physical reality is anchored in space time, which feels linear because we're focused on our immediate surroundings, the sequence of events.
Yeah.
But the Law of One suggests there's another realm, time space, where all those moments coexist.
Okay, my mind is already doing backflips. But if all these moments are happening at once, what about choices? I mean, does that mean our future is predetermined?
No, not at all. The Law of One really emphasizes free will. It describes the future as a field of probabilities, constantly being shaped by our
So
choices.
it's not a fixed path.
Nope. Think of it as each decision creating a new branch in the timeline, leading to countless potential futures.
Oh, okay. So every choice we make is like writing a new chapter in the cosmic library. No pressure or anything.
Exactly. And this concept of multiple potential timelines connects to the cyclical nature of time. Like, think of time not as a straight line, but as a spiral.
Moving upwards.
Yeah, moving upwards through different levels of spiritual awareness.
You mean the densities.
Yes. The Law of One describes 7 densities, each representing a different level of consciousness and understanding. And it suggests that we cycle through these densities.
So we encounter similar challenges and lessons until we learn and evolve enough to progress to the next level.
Precisely. So it's not just a one-way journey to some endpoint, but this recurring cycle of growth.
But how does that connect to the idea that all moments are happening at once?
Well, what's really fascinating is that while we're experiencing this linear progression through time, our higher selves, existing in the 6th density, have a broader perspective. They're looking at the entire spiral.
Whoa. So they're seeing all of our past, present, and potential futures at once.
That's the idea.
Okay, hold on. So my future self is aware of all the choices I'm making right now, and D, all the possible outcomes.
It's not about pressure. Think of it more as guidance.
Guidance.
Yeah. The Law of One suggests that our higher selves can offer support and insights.
Because they already navigated those challenges.
Precisely. They're not controlling our choices, but offering a helping hand from a place of greater understanding.
So it's like having a cosmic mentor who's already walked the path I'm on.
Exactly. But always remember, free will is paramount. Our choices determine which path we take and which lessons we learn within these time cycles and densities.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it raises another question. If my higher self sees all these potential futures, do my choices even matter? I mean, what's the point if it's all already laid out?
The point is the experience, the growth, the evolution.
So the purpose is to learn and expand our consciousness through the choices we make.
That's what the Law of One suggests, yes.
So even if my higher self sees all the potential outcomes, the journey I take, the choices I make along the way, that's what truly matters.
Absolutely. Every decision, every challenge, every triumph, it all contributes to our spiritual evolution. It helps us move closer to understanding our true nature and our connection to the Creator.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
But how does this concept of harvest fit into these time cycles and densities?
Yes, the harvest. Think of it as a sort of graduation ceremony at the end of each density cycle.
Based on our individual progress.
Yeah, but also on the collective evolution of the entire planetary population.
So it's not just about me reaching a certain level of understanding. It's about how humanity as a whole is evolving and contributing to a more harmonious world.
You got it. We're all interconnected, And our individual choices contribute to the collective vibration, ultimately influencing the outcome of the harvest.
So it's not just about personal enlightenment, but about contributing to a more harmonious and loving world for everyone.
Exactly. The law of one reminds us that we're all interconnected, and our individual choices have a collective impact. By understanding the true nature of time and choosing to act from a place of love and service, we become active participants in the evolution of consciousness. Back again, exploring the law of one and how it kind of reframes our whole understanding of time.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground already.
It's not just a simple straight line.
More like a multi-layered,
Hmm.
interconnected tapestry of moments,
Very co- One
densities.
sec.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you really start thinking about it. We're so used to thinking of time as this constant forward march. But the idea that all moments are happening at the same time,
Right.
that we're spiraling through these densities and our higher selves are watching it all unfold, it's a lot to wrap your head around.
It really changes how we think about the choices we make. We're not just reacting to the past and hoping for a certain future.
Right.
We're active participants in something much grander.
Okay, so speaking of choices, there's something that's been bugging me. If our higher selves, up there in the sixth density, can see all these potential timelines, all the choices we could make, does that diminish our free will? Here in third density, I mean.
That's a really common question. But the law of one is very clear that free will is absolutely fundamental.
Okay, but how does that work?
Our choices are what shape our experiences. They drive our evolution and determine which timeline we actually experience.
But if my higher self already sees where each path leads, doesn't that kind of take away the suspense?
It's not about suspense, though. It's about growth. Think of it like watching a movie.
Okay.
You might know the ending, but that doesn't take away from the emotional impact of the journey, right? The characters' struggles and their triumphs.
So it's the experience itself that matters, the learning and evolving through each choice.
Exactly. Our higher selves aren't there to spoil the ending or tell us what to do. They're more like guides, offering support from a place of greater understanding.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better about not being in total control. But how does this whole understanding of time, densities, and free will tie into the veil of forgetting? I mean, that's mentioned a lot in the Law of One.
Yeah, the veil of forgetting is a big part of this whole experiment of consciousness.
Experiment.
Yeah, it's like a metaphysical barrier.
Yeah.
It separates our conscious awareness from our higher self.
And from the full knowledge of our interconnectedness.
Exactly.
So we've kind of put on these blinders to make the game more challenging.
In a way, yes. The law of one suggests that this separation, this forgetting, allows us to fully experience free will and polarity here in third density.
It makes the learning process more intense.
Right. And it lets us explore a wider range of choices and consequences.
Why would we choose to forget? It seems counterintuitive.
Imagine playing a video game where you already know all the secrets and
It
solutions.
wouldn't be as fun.
Exactly.
So the veil is like choosing to play the game on a harder difficulty setting. You might stumble and make mistakes, but it's way more rewarding when you overcome those obstacles.
Precisely. The veil allows us to really immerse ourselves in this third density experience with all its ups and downs.
So it's through these experiences, the choices we make, that we learn and evolve.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. But it makes you wonder, what would life be like without the veil? Would we still experience time in this linear way?
That's a fascinating question. The law of one suggests that as we progress through the densities, as our consciousness expands, our perception of time changes too.
Really? How so?
In higher densities, the experience of time becomes less linear and more fluid. You start to tap into the eternal now.
Eternal now. Okay, I need a minute to process that. That's a whole other conversation. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, can we come back to this idea of time cycles and densities?
Sure. So remember, the law of one talks about these 7 densities, each one representing a different level of spiritual awareness. We move through them in cycles, revisiting similar challenges, but at higher and higher levels of understanding.
So it's a spiral, not a straight line. We're constantly encountering these recurring themes in different forms as we evolve.
Exactly. And within each density, there are specific lessons and challenges that kind of push us to grow and expand.
Can you give me some examples? Like what kind of challenges do we face in the different densities?
Well, in third density, the focus is on individuality, self-awareness, and on the development of free will.
Right.
We're grappling with concepts of good and evil, service to self versus service to others, and the illusion of separation.
So it's like we're trying to figure out who we are and what we believe in, how we fit into the world around us.
Yeah. And as we move into fourth density, the veil starts to thin, and our awareness of interconnectedness grows. The challenges there revolve around understanding and mastering love, compassion, and forgiveness.
So we graduate from focusing on ourselves to understanding our connection to others and the importance of love and compassion.
Exactly. And as we progress through the densities, the challenges become more complex and nuanced, always pushing us towards greater understanding, wisdom, and service to others.
And all of this is happening within this grand cycle of time, with our higher selves watching over us and offering guidance.
That's the beauty of the law of one's perspective. It's not a cold, deterministic system. It's this dynamic, interactive journey of evolution where we're constantly learning, growing, and shaping our reality through the choices we make.
And the choices we make, even the small ones, have a ripple effect, not just on our own personal timeline, but on the collective evolution of humanity and the planet.
That's the power of our free will. Every action, every thought, every intention, it all contributes to the overall vibration and influences the outcome of the harvest.
At the end of each density cycle.
Yeah,
So it's not just about personal enlightenment, but about contributing to a more harmonious and loving world for everyone.
absolutely.
Right.
The law of one reminds us that we're all interconnected and our individual choices have a collective impact. By understanding the true nature of time and choosing to act from love and service, we become active participants in the evolution of consciousness.
We've really gone deep, haven't we?
Yeah, this deep dive into the nature of time has been, well, expansive.
Simultaneous time, time cycles, densities, the veil of forgetting, it's mind-boggling.
Definitely a lot to take in, but it's also incredibly inspiring.
It really is. It challenges us to rethink our whole perception of time. That it's this linear one-way street. What if it's not like that at all?
Right. What if we're not just passengers? What if we're actively creating our reality with every choice we make?
And the idea that our experience of time is shaped by our level of consciousness.
Yeah, that's a key takeaway for me. As we progress through the densities, our perception of time shifts. It becomes less linear, more fluid, eventually leading to that experience of the eternal now.
Eternal now, that's a tough one to grasp, but it's definitely something to ponder.
And the veil of forgetting plays a huge role in how we perceive time right now. In third density, it reinforces this linear experience. It obscures the simultaneous nature of time-space.
So we're kind of limiting ourselves to make the third density experience more intense, more challenging, and as we evolve, that veil starts to thin, and we start to see a bigger picture.
Exactly. And the key to thinning that veil, to awakening to this interconnected reality, is through love and compassion and service to others.
So it's like we're dissolving the veil from the inside out by shifting our focus away from just ourselves and moving toward a focus on the well-being of others.
That's a great way to put it. We're remembering who we truly are. We're reclaiming our cosmic connection.
So it all circles back to these time cycles and densities. We keep moving through these cycles, encountering challenges, learning lessons. We're constantly pushing against that veil, expanding our awareness.
It's like every step on this journey of evolution is bringing us closer to experiencing a more expansive reality, even if we're not fully conscious of it right now.
We're not alone in this.
No, not at all. The law of one makes it clear that all beings are interconnected.
So the choices we make, the energy we send out, it all affects the collective. And it influences the direction of evolution.
Exactly. We're not just living out our personal stories. We're part of a much bigger narrative. We're co-creating the future.
And that brings us back to the harvest, the culmination of each density cycle. It's like a collective graduation ceremony, right?
Right. And it's not just about individual enlightenment. It's about how we as a species are evolving.
Hmm.
Are we contributing to a more harmonious world?
And the law of one suggests that those who have cultivated love and service to others, they transition more smoothly into the next density.
Yeah. Where the veil is thinner and the awareness of interconnectedness is greater.
Makes you wonder, what would it be like to live without that veil? With that full awareness of our cosmic connection? Would time even exist as we know it?
We can only speculate from our current perspective, but the law of one suggests that in higher densities, time becomes more and more fluid, less linear. You experience the eternal now, past, present, and future merging.
Eternal now, that's something I'm going to be thinking about for a while. It
Yeah.
really stretches the limits of our understanding. But even just trying to grasp it, just opening our minds to the possibility, that expands our consciousness, doesn't it?
Exactly, and that's the beauty of exploring these concepts. It's not about having all the answers. It's about engaging with the mystery, questioning our assumptions and expanding our perception of what's possible.
So even if we can't fully comprehend it all right now, exploring these ideas can shift our consciousness. We can see time, choice, and evolution in a whole new light.
That shift in consciousness is what empowers us to become more conscious creators of our reality. We can align our choices with love and service and contribute to positive evolution for ourselves and the planet.
Well, Deep Diver, our exploration of time and the law of one comes to an end here. It's been quite a journey. So what are your biggest takeaways?
Time isn't this rigid structure. It's a fluid, dynamic field of possibilities, constantly shaped by our choices, our evolution. And by understanding these principles, by choosing love and service, we can become conscious participants in creation.
Beautifully said. And for me, it's a reminder that we are not alone. We have our higher selves guiding us, and we're all connected, contributing to an evolution that goes way beyond our individual lifetimes.
It really is an empowering perspective.
Absolutely. So to all our deep divers out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep choosing love. Who knows what we can create together when we understand the true nature of time and the power of our choices.